After becoming a rich family's assistant, the whole family could hear my thoughts. Looking at the Yi family gathered together, I shook my head as I served the dishes. The eldest daughter is so beautiful, but unfortunately, she was manipulated by a gold-digging man, sold to a club, and committed suicide after suffering unbearable humiliation. The eldest daughter's hand trembled, and her chopsticks fell onto the table with a clatter. The young master is pitiful too. He still considered that scumbag a brother, but ended up being tricked into going to Myanmar, where even his kidney was harvested. TSK, TSK, TSK. The young master suddenly spat out the hot tea he had just sipped and started coughing violently. The master and madam were really foolish too. They trusted the wrong person, and all the company's secrets were leaked by that scumbag. It led to the entire company's cash flow being cut off. In the end, they jumped off the building together, husband and wife both returning home. The master and madam were so frightened they collapsed to the ground, their legs trembling. Seeing the pale faces of the whole family, I thought to myself, HM, what's going on? Are they anemic? Eldest daughter, should keep it down, everyone can hear your thoughts. Me, what the? Recently, I've been reading a novel about a rich family's revenge story. I originally thought the story would be about the male lead rising to the top with the help of the female lead's family. But unexpectedly, the plot took an increasingly bizarre turn. I frowned as I drove, turning up the volume on my phone's audiobook app to maximum. Be's easy. Be's easy. Yi Qingqi coughed up specks of blood. She knelt on the ground, her pale skin showing green veins that looked terrifying. For the last time, she looked at the man she once loved deeply with pleading eyes. It was this very man who had pushed her into hell with his own hands. Mingyu, I beg you, please spare Qingqin. He's the only family I have left. He treated you like a real brother back then. But before she could finish, Xia Mingyu suddenly flew into a rage as if his lungs had been punctured. He mercilessly kicked Yi Qingqi in the chest, shouting, "Shut up!" Yi Qingqi was abruptly kicked away, slamming into the wall. Her emaciated body curled up like a shrimp. What brother? Would a real brother arrange a basic job for me? Do you know what those people say about me behind my back? Xia Mingyu seemed to be caught in some painful memory. His voice suddenly stopped, his face becoming increasingly twisted. It's not like that. Qingqin just wanted to give you a chance to gain experience. You think I'd still believe the lies of your Yi family? He waved his hand dismissively and looked Yi Qingqi up and down with malicious eyes, taking in her stubborn yet delicate features. The corners of his mouth suddenly curled into a contemptuous sneer. I heard the Ning family's twins have liked you for a long time. You rejected those two rich playboys before, and they've held a grudge against you. What if I sold you to their club? Yi Qingqi looked at the man in front of her in disbelief, as if seeing him for the first time. Two burly men nearly 6 feet tall suddenly appeared behind her, forcibly restraining her body. She was dragged out like a rag doll. F***K. What a goddamn scumbag. This really is a case of commit arson and murder and get a gold medal, build bridges and fix roads and leave no trace. This male lead is just a piece of **T. The Yi family treated him like a half-adopted son, sent him to get higher education, even married their daughter to him, and let him enter a mid-level position in the company early on to gain experience. But who would have thought that he secretly resented his position for being too low? After entering the company, because of his own lack of ability, he always tried to avoid problems when he encountered them. He wouldn't humbly ask for guidance, and gradually got marginalized by the employees. After facing setbacks, instead of reflecting on his own issues, he harbored resentment towards Yi Corporation. He colluded with rival companies, stole company secrets, and finally caused the Yi family to lose everything. This scumbag is just a self-centered, narcissistic man-child. Who would relate to him after reading this? It's making me so mad. If the author can't write well, why bother writing at all? I paid money just to read this. Geneva Convention, I want a refund. I was getting all worked up when suddenly the phone screen that had been playing the novel flashed with a white light. It inexplicably made my heart feel uneasy. The next second, a small 3-wheeled vehicle suddenly popped out of a blind spot in front of my car. I was so startled that I quickly turned the steering wheel. Accompanied by a violent roar and the sound of urgent braking, time seemed to freeze suddenly. My vision turned into a sea of flames rising to the sky. In that moment, A thought flashed through my mind. Damn it, my year-end bonus. I clenched my fists full of resentment, my heart filled with grief and indignation. But immediately afterwards, when I looked at the expensive furnishings around me, the gloom in my heart dissipated. As friends who frequently transmigrate know, what are the three essentials for modern transmigration? Rich family, domineering CEO, sweet and pampered wife. The completely unfamiliar environment made me instantly understand my current situation. At this moment, it was as if the BGM of Tokyo Hot was playing in my ears. Give me 10 girls. I want to take on 10. Just as I was indulging in the fantasy of transforming from a lowly pawn to a Roman noble, the cleaning lady next to me viciously wiped my drool with her mop. Oh no, you've dirted the freshly washed blanket again. Wake up, it's time to work. I was stunned. What? How can this be? Why is it that when others transmigrate, they become rich second-generation heirs or officials' children born with silver spoons in their mouths? But when I transmigrate, I'm just a working-class wage slave. This isn't fair. Tears came down. Are you capable or not? If you can do the job, then do it. If not, then get lost. How outrageous. How can a great man remain subservient to others for long? I quit. Goodbye. The butler blocked my way. 8,000 a month, room and board included. Damn it. How can a great man bow for a mere 5 bushels of rice? I retracted my half-retreated foot. This child is willing to serve loyally. Whatever. Since I'm here, I might as well go all in. At this point, I hadn't yet realized the seriousness of the situation until I saw the employee name tag on the butler's chest. Why does this butler's name look familiar? Hao Jian, stop cleaning for now. The eldest miss is calling for you. Who's Hao Jian? Who's calling Hao Jian? They can't be calling me, right? I instinctively turned my head, only vaguely seeing the silhouette of a young woman. For some reason, a familiar name suddenly popped into my head. Yi Qingqi. What the hell? Isn't that the name of the cannon fodder female side character from that crazy novel I read before? In the original story, the male lead Xie Mingyu had been engaged to Yi Qingqi. But unfortunately, Yi Qingqi's fate was already known. She used her short life to illustrate the supporting character's rule of cherish life. Stay away from the male lead. Thinking of this, my heart sank. This eldest miss is also a pitiful person. Just as I was thinking this, the eldest miss suddenly appeared in front of me, poking my face. Hao Jian, what have you been muttering about from just now until now? Pitiful, who's pitiful? The eldest miss's suddenly enlarged, beautiful face occupied my field of vision. Her skin was moist and translucent, like a peeled lychee. The golden sunlight fell on her long and thick eyelashes, the rippling smile overflowing from the bottom of her eyes. I couldn't help but hold my breath. Before I could think about what the eldest miss meant by those words, a thought suddenly popped into my mind. Holy sh*T. No wonder she was called the most dazzling jewel in the capital in the original story. The eldest miss is really beautiful. A light blush quickly climbed up her smooth and delicate cheeks. She glared at me with a mix of joy and bashfulness, carrying a bit of a young girl's coquettishness. Just as she was about to say something, the next second, she suddenly heard in her mind, it's a pity her taste in men is so bad. She ended up with that gold digger Xie Mingyu, who's rotten to the core. TSK, TSK, TSK. Yi Qingqi's expression visibly froze. She blurted out instinctively, what does gold digger mean? My heart skipped a beat. Crap, did I accidentally say my thoughts out loud just now? I need to find an excuse to gloss over this. Well, gold digger means a man among dragons and phoenixes. But I saw her tilt her head, staring at me like a little fox, the corners of her lips curling into a curved arc. After a while, she finally drawled, is that so? Hao Jian, you don't need to clean here anymore. From now on, follow me and be my personal assistant. How about that? Her eyes sparkled with a shrewd light. She seemed very interested in me. I was still immersed in the state of uncertainty and suspicion from earlier. Without exploring the deeper meaning behind this, I meekly agreed under the envious gazes of the people around. However, her next words struck me like a sudden clap of thunder from a clear sky, leaving me scorched inside and out. Today is the day Mingyu's college entrance exam results are released. He'll be coming over soon. Come with me to make some preparations. At this moment, I instantly understood my current situation. The day Xie Mingyu became the top scorer in the college entrance exam in the original story was also the first day Xie Mingyu officially entered the Yi Corporation. This was the most crucial turning point in the entire story. I followed the eldest miss to the prepared banquet hall. The first thing that caught my eye was the two-story high domed ceiling, inlaid with finely carved reliefs. Huge oil paintings hung on all four walls, each one a masterpiece by famous artists. The central banquet area was covered with thick, soft carpets. The round tables were filled with exquisite dishes, and crystal glasses refracted enchanting light. Damn, worthy of being called nouveau riche in novels. Just one meal could cost us 10 years of savings. Tears of poverty streamed down the face of a certain wage slave. Not long after, the doors to the banquet hall slowly opened. A spirited, middle-aged man was seen, arm in arm with a bejeweled lady, taking the main seats first. There was a faint trace of joy between their brows, their whole demeanor exuding the pride and nobility that only those in high positions possess. By the looks of it, the newcomers were undoubtedly the pillars of the Yi family, the helmsmen of the Yi Corporation, Yi Huaqiang and Madame Yi. Afterwards, guests came and went, entering with congratulatory voices. Amidst a chorus of flattery, a young man was seen striding in with big steps. There was some resemblance between his brows and Madame Yi's. The newcomer was Yi Huaqiang's second son, Yi Qingchen. He was radiant and energetic, obviously having just received the good news that his good brother and brother-in-law had become the top scorer in the college entrance exam. Subsequently, Yi Qingqi, wearing an ivory long dress, also came gracefully, the swaying hem of her dress unfolding slowly like a film reel from an old movie. Like a movie star from the Golden Age, she carried an innate composure and nobility. As she took her seat, the atmosphere of the banquet reached a new climax. At this moment, everyone was immersed in this joyous and glorious atmosphere, waiting for the arrival of the protagonist of this banquet, Xie Mingyu. Only I, like a misfit freak, watched the scene before me with a god's eye view, appearing unusually detached and calm. The Yi family didn't know they had let in a poisonous snake. In less than a year, the Yi Corporation would be hollowed out, heading towards a fate of disintegration. Along with the collapse of Yi Corporation, the Yi family members would also meet with misfortunes one after another, losing their lives in succession. See him rise high, see him entertain guests, see his tower crumble. For a moment, my heart was filled with sighs, but I was more concerned about my own future. If this plot progresses, won't I also lose this job that includes room and board? No, I can't let that happen. But I don't have any way to deal with this right now. I can only take it one step at a time. I turned my head to look at this lively banquet, and then looked at the Yi family members with strange expressions on their faces. Shaking my head inwardly, I thought, "Sai, to be honest, this family is really pitiful." Instantly, four pairs of eyes at the main table looked at me in unison. However, at this moment, I was immersed in that regretful emotion, seemingly unaware. The eldest miss who was serving dishes turned to look at me. Her almond-shaped eyes were filled with smiles and coquettishness, the corners of her small mouth slightly raised. She looked like she was enjoying the show. I couldn't help but think, the eldest miss is indeed very beautiful. It's just a pity that she's been manipulated by that gold digger for a long time, eaten out of house and home, and in the end sold to a club where she committed suicide after suffering unbearable humiliation. The eldest Miss's smiling face froze, her hand trembled, and her chopsticks fell onto the table with a pa sound. The young master frowned slightly and glanced at Yi Qingxi. "Sister, mind your manners." He picked up his teacup, lightly sniffed the aroma, closed his eyes to savor the fresh and elegant fragrance, then took small sips. Looking completely at ease, the young master is pitiful too. He still considered that scumbag a brother, but ended up being tricked into going to Myanmar, where even his kidney was harvested. TSK, TSK, TSK. The young master suddenly spat out the hot tea he had just sipped and started coughing violently. His reaction was so intense that for a moment, guests at other tables also looked over with inquiring gazes. Yi Qingchen's face turned bright red. Yi Huaqiang and Madame Yi were angered and embarrassed by their children's loss of composure. He had been composed and dignified all his life. How could he tolerate such looks from outsiders? He slapped the table and said, "What's with all this fuss? Where are your manners?" At this point, I finally turned my gaze to the master and madam. For some reason, their bodies trembled slightly in unison. The master and madam were really foolish too. They trusted the wrong person, and all the company's secrets were leaked by that scumbag. It led to the entire company's cash flow being cut off. In the end, they jumped off the building together, husband and wife both returning home. What? The master and madam suddenly stood up in excitement. Then their legs suddenly went weak, and they collapsed to the ground. At this moment, a clueless male servant ran in with a joyful expression. "Master, madam, the son-in-law is here." Then a tall, thin young man walked in with big strides, wearing a bright smile. "Uncle, Aunt, Ching, I'm late." "Uncle, Aunt, your Xiaoyu didn't let you down. I got the top score in the college entrance exam." Xie Mingyu was beaming, thinking he would receive a warm welcome from the Yi family. But the next second, what greeted him were 4 pairs of eyes full of deep meaning. Something's not right. It's very, very not right. The Yi family members had no reaction to his arrival. The whole place suddenly turned cold. I was stunned for a moment. Wow, how is this plot different from what I remember? When did the Yi family become so tough towards Xie Mingyu? Instantly, the Yi family members' gazes towards Xie Mingyu grew even colder. The gazes of the people around pierced into Xie Mingyu's body like blades. This made him, who was originally particularly sensitive, feel even more uncomfortable. What did the Yi family mean by this? Were they trying to give him a hard time? Some dark thoughts flashed through Xie Mingyu's mind. But on the surface, he appeared even more affectionate and kind. The situation remained tense. After a while, the Yi family patriarch, Yi Huaqiang, finally spoke in a cool tone. "Sit, neither warm nor cold, neither hot nor lukewarm." People couldn't discern his emotions. The guests around looked at each other, secretly guessing the patriarch's attitude towards his future son-in-law. Yi Huaqiang doesn't seem too satisfied with his son-in-law. After all, he's an outsider. It's better to put off associating with him for now. After Xie Mingyu sat down, his demeanor became even more cautious. It wasn't until everyone started using their chopsticks that he carefully began to pick up food. Usually by this time, the Yi family would have been showing all sorts of concern for him. But now, it was often only when he brought up a topic that the Yi family members would respond half-heartedly. He looked at his fiancée with pleading eyes. But to his surprise, Yi Qingqi kept her eyes down, completely ignoring him. Suddenly, a thought popped into Xie Mingyu's mind. What's wrong with the Yi family? Could it be that they've discovered my relationship with Chu Chu? No, I need to find out for sure. This thought was like an ice cube falling into boiling water, making his heart suddenly become extremely anxious. During the intermission of the banquet, he took advantage of the moment when the Yi family members began to mingle with the guests, secretly following behind the eldest miss, coming to the back garden of the Yi residence. Of course, as the eldest Mrs. most dedicated personal assistant, I was also nearby, mainly to see how this story that had deviated from the original plot would develop. In other words, to watch the show. Xie Mingyu completely ignored my presence, just glancing at me once before hurriedly stepping forward to grab the eldest Mrs. hand. "Qingqi, I've been wrong lately. I've been so focused on my studies that I've neglected you a bit. Whether right or wrong," he apologized first. His words were sincere, his posture humble. No wonder he easily manipulated the naive Yi Qingqi. Yi Qingqi did indeed show a somewhat complicated expression, but she still calmly pulled her hand away. "Brother Mingyu, it's not your problem. I've just been feeling a bit unwell lately. I'm sorry. I'll find another chance to celebrate properly for you next time." At this moment, she didn't fully believe that her childhood sweetheart Xie Mingyu was that kind of vicious person, but she also couldn't shake off those suspicions. Once the seed of doubt is planted, it grows like the devil's vines, constantly entangling her heart, making her unsure of how to face him for the moment. "Qingqi, I have a gift I want to give you. This gift, I originally planned to give it to you when we got engaged." As he was saying this, he mysteriously took out a beautiful little box from his pocket and slowly opened it. I curiously peeked over, And when I saw what was in the box, I almost couldn't hold back my laughter. Xie Mingyu glared at me, dissatisfied, then continued. This heart-shaped stone I happened to find and pick up somewhere. A naturally heart-shaped stone that has gone through so much wind and sand and collisions to become this shape. I hope our love will be like this heart, able to withstand the test of time forever. The man's eyes were determined, full of deep affection. Yi Qingqi's heart felt like it was being tightly squeezed. Her face showed a touched expression. She had grown up in luxury and had seen all kinds of precious gifts in the world, but never had a gift moved her like this one did. Just as Yi Qingqi was bubbling with pink bubbles, her expression constantly changing between shame and emotion. Suddenly, she heard in her ear, "Damn, he's really cheap. 9 yuan 99 cents with free shipping from Pinduoduo. Buy one, get one free." Yi Qingqi's body suddenly stiffened. "Qingqi, you are the first and only girl I've given this gift to dash. I hope you can understand my feelings." I really couldn't watch anymore and couldn't help but laugh out loud. Xie Mingyu's eyes immediately glared over, seemingly spitting fire from his pupils. But he still had to maintain his demeanor in front of Yi Qingqi. His face kept changing and twisting expressions, looking quite frightening. He straightened his clothes and looked at me with his chin up, but found that he was still a head shorter than me, instantly losing some of his imposing manner and feeling a bit awkward. "What are you laughing at?" I shook my head, not wanting to bother with him. "You're still asking what I'm laughing at?" "I'm laughing at you trying to fool a naive girl with a broken stone." "What first and only?" I'm about to throw up hearing it. "Are you sure this stone wasn't bought in bulk? How can a grown man be so stingy, truly just trying to get something for nothing?" Xie Mingyu saw that even a small assistant dared to give him attitude. A nameless anger immediately bubbled up from the bottom of his heart. For some reason, from just now, he inexplicably found me disagreeable, as if our auras were naturally incompatible. He happened to have a stomach full of anger with nowhere to vent it. He was certain that I, as a servant, wouldn't dare to fight back. He stepped forward and raised his hand, about to slap me. But unexpectedly, Yi Qingqi suddenly stood in front of me. "Brother Mingyu, I'm tired. You should go back." After saying this, she stuffed that heart-shaped stone back into Xie Mingyu's arms. "Take this stone back." Xie Mingyu's face changed. "Yi Qingqi, what do you mean?" As he spoke, he stepped forward insistently and forcefully grabbed Yi Qingqi's wrist. Yi Qingqi looked at him in disbelief. Her body was suddenly yanked, causing her acute pain. She instantly lost her balance. Seeing this little scumbag dare to manhandle the eldest miss in front of me, I, who had long disliked him, immediately felt anger rise from the bottom of my heart. I delivered a vicious kick straight to the scumbag's solar plexus. Xie Mingyu felt like he had been hit head-on by a large truck. His entire body flew backwards, spinning 2.5 rotations in the air before crashing into a bush. "Damn it, I'm a black belt in judo. I can easily take care of a little punk like you." This current body of mine not only looks almost identical to my previous life, but because it hasn't yet suffered the ravages of 996 blessings, it's in even better condition than before. If I hadn't held back at the last moment, that kick probably would have caused some serious damage. But even so, it would take Xie Mingyu at least 10 days to half a month to recover from this injury. Ouch! A soft moan as fine as silk sounded from below me. I looked down, and only then noticed that my movements had been too big earlier, pulling the young lady into my arms. Yi Qingqi looked up at me. Her peach-colored cheeks were flushed red, and her doe-like eyes were suddenly filled with a watery mist. Her upturned nose was like an inlaid gardenia, pink and delicate blossoming. Sorry. I swallowed hard and let go of her, putting some social distance between us. I only heard her complain in a voice as thin as a thread. "Umph. Your body is hard as a rock." "What?" "Ahem," I said. "Why don't you check on Xie Mingyu?" "As you command, my eldest miss." "You!" I grabbed Xie Mingyu's shoulder and dragged him out of the bushes, seeing that he had passed out. "Hey, are you okay?" I fiddled with his head a bit, then slapped it back and forth hard a few times. He had no response. No answer means you're fine. After saying this, I threw him back into the bushes like a rag doll. For some reason, seeing Xie Mingyu being grabbed and beaten by me, not only did she not get angry, but she strangely felt a secret thrill of satisfaction throughout her body. She almost applauded on the spot. The good education she had received since childhood made her do some self-reflection for this thought. When I wasn't paying attention, she secretly stuck out her tongue, looking a bit shy. How Jin? When did you learn martial arts? I don't know martial arts. You're lying. I saw it just now. I rub my nose. If you say I know, then I know. Can you teach me? What does a girl need to learn this for? Girls need to protect themselves when they go out too. I can protect you. Yi Qingqi paused, two rosy clouds drifting across her face. After a while, she said, then starting today, how about you be my bodyguard? No, that's a different price. I added, it'll cost extra. Yi residence, third floor study. Tell me what you think. Yi Huaqiang leaned against the window, exhaling a smoke ring, his expression unclear. Better to wrongly kill than to wrongly spare. Whether what that guy said is true or not, we should just kick Siem Mingyu out directly. Yi Qingxin's eyes flashed with a fierce light as he said decisively. Although Yi Qingxin and Siem Mingyu had always been on good terms, that was only because Siem Mingyu was his future brother-in-law. Once the core interests of the Yi family were touched, this vague friendship became like rootless duckweed, scattered by the wind. Wrong, but not wrong. If what Hao Jian said is true, do you think a mere Siem Mingyu could really bring down the Yi family? Yi Qingxin heard the implication in his words. Then what do you mean? Yi Huaqiang exhaled a puff of smoke. Since these old fellows want to reach their hands in, I'll let them taste the flavor of having all 5 fingers broken. Once these things are proven true, not to mention how much those old guys behind the scenes would have to pay. The powerless and insignificant Siem Mingyu would probably not have enough lives to squander. Thinking of this, Yi Qingxin lowered his head and said in a muffled voice, I still don't understand. We treated Siem Mingyu well? Why would he do this? Isn't he afraid of being discovered by us? If he's discovered, his fate would be worse than death. Yi Huaqiang violently stubbed out his cigarette in the ashtray. If a gambler believes he's on a lucky streak, no risk is too great to stop him from going all in. However, although Yi Huaqiang said this, in his heart he couldn't help but hope the story would take a different turn. He had watched Siem Mingyu grow up since he was little. Among the countless children he had sponsored, Siem Mingyu stood out in both talent and character. Choosing him to marry into the Yi family and assist Qingchun in the future was a path he had planned from the beginning. As such, since Siem Mingyu entered the Yi family, whether it was food, clothing, accommodation, or travel, the standards were the same as for an adopted son, without any half measures. He had invested so much energy and effort into Siem Mingyu. These sunk costs made him subconsciously still hold a glimmer of hope for him beyond reason. Yi Qingxin looked at his father and said, if that's the case, shouldn't we show some appreciation to Hao Jian? Yi Huaqiang nodded. Although we don't know how he knew about these things, if what he said is all true, he is a benefactor to our Yi family. We Yi family members have always known to repay kindness with gratitude. I see he and Qingqi are quite close. Why not let him go to school together with Qingqi? If we later find out it's true, we can thank him more properly. I like going to school. It feels like voluntarily entering prison. After many years, returning to campus, and as the companion of the Yi Corporation's eldest miss no less. As an old office worker who had been in the workplace for many years, I didn't feel any more comfortable than sitting in a cubicle at this moment. I still remember yesterday, when the Yi family's young master came to talk to me about being a study companion. I thought to myself, well, an opportunity for a pay raise has come so quickly. He asked me what salary I expected. If you're going to ask me that, I won't hold back. First of all, being the eldest Mrs. Study Companion represents the face of the Yi family. Buying clothes and new shoes would cost money, right? Secondly, the eldest miss is so beautiful. Following her around to block those reckless admirers and bearing the envious gazes of countless male compatriots. The mental damage caused during this period needs money to heal, right? Thirdly, last but not least, so all in all, adding all this up, a 25% raise isn't too much, right? Very good. The reasons are very sufficient. So I very firmly held out my hand and showed a 10. 10K, not a penny less. You said how much? Seeing his incredulous look, I suddenly felt a bit nervous. Maybe 10K is indeed too high. A 10% discount is not impossible. Just 100,000? Good, good, good. Me. Roar. Crawling in darkness. What do you mean by just 100,000? Stinking capitalist. I want to perish together with you. Seeing Yi Qingchen pat my shoulder and give me an approving look. For the first time in my life, I felt that even a complimentary expression could curse so dirtily. So, facts have proved that money is hard to earn, and sh*t is hard to eat. When Xie Mingyu limped over on crutches and stuck to us like a dog's skin plaster, I found his fawning appearance as disgusting as if I had eaten a big pile of sh*t. Of course, he felt the same way looking at me. Qingqi, I was rash last time. I just couldn't understand why you all suddenly became so cold towards me. Looking at Xie Mingyu wrapped up like a pig's head, I, the culprit, almost laughed out loud. It's strange to say, but even though Xie Mingyu was the Yi family's son-in-law, not only did I not receive any punishment for beating him up as a servant, but I was even upgraded from a small assistant to a bodyguard. The Yi family's attitude suddenly became quite intriguing. I mainly came this time to invite you to my birthday party tomorrow. I just invited a few friends. I hope you can come too. Yi Qingqi's cherry lips were slightly pursed. She knew about Xie Mingyu's upcoming birthday recently. After all, he was her nominal fiancé. Seeing his miserable state, she ultimately felt some sympathy. So she nodded and agreed. I watched their interaction, only then remembering that since the inexplicable upgrade banquet last time, the story seemed to be deviating more and more from the main plot. Although on the surface, Xie Mingyu had entered the Yi Corporation just like in my previous life. But for some unknown reason, whether it was Yi Qingqi or her family members, their attitudes towards Xie Mingyu had undergone some subtle changes. Xie Mingyu had also sensed this subtle atmosphere. Previously, he had always considered himself half an heir to the Yi family, which led to his attitude towards Yi Qingqi of "she is mine." This was what caused him to unconsciously act out of line earlier when he lost control of his emotions. But now he suddenly realized that without his relationship with Yi Qingqi, he was ultimately an outsider to the Yi family, at most considered a half-adopted son. The Yi family could discard him at any time. After realizing this point, how could he not be anxious now? After all, he had long viewed the Yi family's wealth as his own possession. Watching Xie Mingyu's eyes dart around, I became very alarmed. This dog has a belly full of evil schemes. This birthday party doesn't seem simple. We need to be more careful. Yi Qingqi glanced at me thoughtfully, showing an ambiguous expression. Subconsciously, she still didn't quite believe that Xie Mingyu would try anything at a small birthday party. Seeing Yi Qingqi nod reservedly, Xie Mingyu smiled. Qingqi, there's a new Jiangnan cuisine restaurant that opened recently. Why don't we dash? Brother Mingyu, I'm not feeling well lately. Next time, Yi Qingqi turned to look at me. How Jian, let's go. All right. When I walked past Xie Mingyu, I paused for a moment and let out a light snort. Then I swaggered away. Yi Qingqi seemed to notice my actions and turned back to giggle softly. Childish. Xie Mingyu calmly watched us leave until we were out of his sight. Only then did his frozen face crack open to reveal a malevolent expression like that of an evil ghost. Ungrateful bitch. Once it's a done deal, I'll torture you until you wish you were dead. Royal KTV. Today is my good friend Xie Mingyu's birthday. All expenses today are on my tab. As soon as the words were spoken, flattering voices rose one after another in the private room. Thank you, Brother June. Thank you, Brother June. The man called Brother June cursed and laughed as he ordered several fair-skinned and beautiful hostesses, some imported wine and fruit platters. Then, under the expectant gazes of everyone, he opened a bottle of Louis XIII cognac worth tens of thousands per bottle, making the manager grin from ear to ear. This man's full name was Wang Jun. I had some impression of him. Basically, in every CEO novel, there would be such a rich and idle, promiscuous friend by the male lead side. As a tool character, his main responsibility was to help the male lead handle some dirty work. In my eyes, the two of them were birds of a feather. If I remember correctly, it was his idea to sell Yi Qingqi to the club. Of course, tonight Xie Mingyu was the real protagonist. Among the crowd, he raised his wine glass like an emperor, either nodding in acknowledgement or lightly clinking glasses with everyone present. His bright red eyes were reflected in the shimmering golden liquor. He seemed to really enjoy the feeling of being surrounded by others. Only at times like this could he forget his humble origins, forget his status as a son-in-law marrying into the family, forget the fact that he was living under someone else's roof. However, at this moment, everyone around was unconsciously drawn to the person beside him. Yi Qingqi's face was almost makeup-free. Looking at her from the side, a few strands of fine hair had fallen down, and one could only vaguely see the clear and bony line of her nose, unable to see her expression clearly. But even so, just sitting there quietly, she had effortlessly outshone all the other vulgar beauties present. Wang Jun licked his slightly dry lips. TK. Such a beautiful woman, and Xie Mingyu doesn't appreciate her? I don't know what kind of taste this guy has. Always hovering around that choo-choo girl. In terms of background and looks, how can that country bumpkin compare to Yi Qingqi in any way? It's good that he doesn't appreciate her. After Xie Mingyu has his way with her, I can take her and have some fun myself. Thinking this, Wang Jun laughed heartily. Sister-in-law, I'd like to propose a toast to you. May you two soon be united in marriage. As soon as he finished speaking, the people present started to cheer and tease. Xie Mingyu also looked at her with tender eyes at the right moment. If it were in the past, Yi Qingqi would have been blushing red from embarrassment upon hearing these words. But now, these words just sounded jarring to her ears. She immediately felt some regret. She should have found some excuse to brush it off earlier and not attended this birthday party. She looked around with pleading eyes until she saw my figure in the corner, only then feeling slightly reassured. She didn't return the toast, but instead stood up and said coldly, "I'm going to the restroom." Her words were like ice cubes falling into boiling water, instantly cooling down the atmosphere. However, Wang Jun wasn't embarrassed or angered. Instead, he winked at Xie Mingyu rather suggestively. Xie Mingyu curled his lips and raised his wine glass. Qingqi can't drink much. I'll drink this glass for her. After downing the glass, he naturally got up and followed her out. I suddenly realized something was wrong and was about to stand up, but two hostesses pressed against me from the sides, grabbing my arms. "Handsome, you look unfamiliar. Is this your first time here?" Smelling the strong, cheap perfume on them, I felt like throwing up. At this moment, Wang Jun also came over to block me. He swayed his wine glass as he walked up to me. "Friend, it's your first time here, right? Come on, drink this glass of wine. We'll be brothers from now on." However, by now I couldn't hear anything anymore. Yi Qingqi's exquisitely beautiful face suddenly flashed through my mind, then was instantly torn apart by one malicious face after another. A surge of irritation immediately arose in my chest. "All of you King, get out of my way." I raised my leg and kicked Wang Jun to the ground. Then with a flying kick, I jumped over the table and ran out directly. Wang Jun, who had been kicked down, felt an intense stabbing pain spreading from his chest. His face instantly turned from pale to flushed, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He glared at those hostesses and roared, "Didn't I tell you to get him drunk properly?" Those scantily clad hostesses looked dejected. He didn't drink a drop of alcohol since he came in. "What?" he muttered. "It's over. It's all over now." When I ran out, as if my life depended on it, I searched several rounds before finally discovering her figure in a corner. I saw a muscular man with a thick gold chain and dragon and tiger tattoos on his arms cornering Yi Qingqi against the wall. "You mother Kerr, coming out to sell yourself and still playing pure with me." As he spoke, he reached out with his fan-like large hand to grab her hair. Yi Qingqi was so frightened she closed her eyes. But the next second, I pulled Yi Qingqi behind me. I looked her up and down, seeing that she had no injuries, and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. "Brother, is there some misunderstanding?" The muscular man saw a strange young man standing in front of Yi Qingqi, one hand in his pocket, one hand blocking her. "Who the K is this? This isn't following the script we arranged." His brows were tightly knitted together. "Who are you meddling in other people's business?" "Who am I?" I tilted my head, thought for a moment, and said, "I'm someone you can't afford to mess with." Upon hearing this, the muscular man laughed angrily and cracked his finger joints, making popping sounds. "I can't afford to mess with you? Kid, just for that comment, you're not leaving here today." Before he finished speaking, he threw a fierce punch. Seeing an arm thicker than Hao Jian's thigh swinging over, Yi Qingqi turned pale with fright. "Be careful." However, the next second, I easily blocked the muscular man's iron fist with one hand. "Not bad, kid. So you know some martial arts." He revealed a ferocious smile at the corner of his mouth, and his left hand suddenly pulled out a small knife from his waist. He slashed directly at my face. I frowned slightly. He's really vicious. If this knife hit an ordinary person, even if it didn't kill them, it would disfigure them on the spot. Since that's the case, don't blame me for not showing mercy. The muscular man's eyes flashed with bloodshot veins. Just as he thought the man in front of him was about to be covered in blood, he suddenly felt an intense pain, and his whole body flew backwards bang, crashing into the mirror on the wash basin. He felt as if all his internal organs had shifted, and while he spat out a mouthful of blood. This was the scene Xie Mingyu saw when he rushed over. His mouth immediately formed an O shape. The rich young masters who hurried over afterwards had never seen such a scene. They all turned to stone one by one, their eyeballs almost popping out. "Qingqi, are you all right?" Xie Mingyu, who had reacted, immediately rushed over, grabbed Yi Qingqi's hand, and started showing concern. Yi Qingqi hadn't yet recovered from the movie-like scene just now. Seeing Xie Mingyu showing concern for her, she managed to force out a smile. I watched, feeling increasingly angry. What the hell? Wasn't this all arranged by you? Trying to play out a hero saving the damsel scene? Aren't you afraid of it backfiring? If I had come a step later, just now, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Yi Qingqi's heart immediately tightened. That's right, if Hao Jian hadn't arrived in time, just now. The image of the man's large hand, reaching out, suddenly flashed through Yi Qingqi's mind. Cold sweat immediately broke out on her back. She then recalled my various guesses from before. She abruptly pulled her hand out of Xie Mingyu's grasp. She looked at this familiar, yet strange man in front of her, as if seeing him for the first time. All my previous words seemed to echo in her ears. "Xie Mingyu, I'm asking you, was this whole thing planned by you from start to finish?" Xie Mingyu's heart suddenly skipped a beat, and he looked away somewhat guiltily. "Qingqi, I don't know what you're talking about. Xie Mingyu, I want you to look me in the eye and tell me, was this whole thing planned by you?" Xie Mingyu's mouth curled into a smile uglier than crying. "Qingqi, you're overthinking it. How could I possibly, However, before he could finish speaking, a resounding slap landed on his face. He stared at Yi Qingqi in disbelief, his face twisting out of control. "You dare to hit me? Xie Mingyu, I'm so disappointed in you. If Hao Jian hadn't arrived in time today, I would have already. I never thought you were such an unscrupulous person. You disgust me. From now on, please don't appear in front of me again. I don't want to see you ever again." All the warmth in Yi Qingqi's eyes towards Xie Mingyu had disappeared, leaving only coldness. Seeing the usually gentle and naive Qingqi stand up for herself for the first time, I couldn't help but give her a big thumbs up in my heart. "Wow, well done. Roast this dead scumbag. The eldest miss is really clever, seeing through this scumbag's true colors at a glance." Yi Qingqi's cheeks flushed, and her lips curled up involuntarily. She raised her head proudly. "Hao Jian, let's go." "All right." She took my hand and turned to leave. Recently, Xie Mingyu has been having a very rough time. Since the KTV incident, he originally thought that if he just swallowed his pride and asked Yi Qingqi for forgiveness, she would forgive him soon. As long as he explained well, played the victim a bit, and made some vows, Yi Qingqi would let her guard down again. But Yi Qingqi really hadn't seen him since that incident. Everything had changed. Ever since that man appeared, everything had changed. He had a vague feeling that this story shouldn't have developed like this. If it wasn't for that man's appearance, he would still be happily being the Yi family's son-in-law, still having a bright future ahead of him. Now he probably couldn't be the Yi family's son-in-law anymore. But none of that mattered anymore. He looked at the USB drive in his hand. He almost laughed out loud. As long as he plugged this USB drive into the company's core computer, the virus inside would automatically steal all the company's confidential files and directly synchronize them to a designated computer. Just thinking about the shocked and desperate expressions on the Yi family members' faces when they discovered all their business secrets had been stolen, a sense of satisfaction welled up from the bottom of his heart. "It's all your fault. You forced me to do this." As long as he successfully stole these files, he would take the money he got from the Yi family's rival company and run away with Chu-Chu. Go to a place where no one knew him and start over. But for some reason, he always felt that this time he could have prepared more thoroughly, handled things more cleanly. At least he should have spent more time making arrangements to ensure everything was foolproof. Unfortunately, as his situation in the Yi Corporation became increasingly precarious, the situation became more and more urgent, and he no longer had that much time. It was all because of that man. Xie Mingyu took a deep breath. The computer screen in front of him suddenly lit up, showing a skull icon, and the progress bar began to roll. 1%, 5%, 15%, 35%, as the numbers on the progress bar gradually increased. It felt like dozens of drummers in his chest were frantically beating intense war drums. Almost there, it's about to succeed. 96%, 97%, 98%, 99%, 100%. Success. I succeeded off. Yi Qingqi, Hao Jian, Yi Huaqiao. All of you go to hell, ha 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 ha. But the next second he suddenly heard, I'm really sorry, unless heaven goes on strike, you're the only one going to hell in this life. This suddenly cold voice made Xie Mingyu's smile instantly freeze. In the blink of an eye, the lights in the entire company suddenly came on. Hao Jian and the Yi family members walked in together. At the same time, a swarm of police officers poured in from behind. Hands up! Don't move! The corners of my mouth curled into a contemptuous smile. Surprise! Motherf asterisk asterisk cur. The Yi family members calmly watched Xie Mingyu like they were watching a monkey jumping up and down. You! How did you know? What? Did you think your tricks were very clever? Uncle Yi saw through your evil intentions long ago and made preparations in advance. Ahem! Yi Huaqiang glanced at me. So what? You're too late. All the company's secrets have already been stolen. I picked my ear and looked at him like I was looking at an idiot. Ah, yes, yes, yes. Seeing my nonchalant expression, Xie Mingyu had a bad feeling rising in his heart. He stiffly turned his head back. The conspicuous skull on the computer screen now had a dagger stuck in it. A string of characters appeared below the progress bar. Virus eliminated. Virus eliminated. Xie Mingyu opened and closed his mouth, but couldn't make a sound as if someone was choking him. It wasn't until he was pushed into the police car that he started shouting like a madman. Let go of me. I'm innocent. I'm the top scorer in the college entrance exam. No, I'm mentally ill. You can't arrest me. Recently, I've been quite happy. Every day I get to eat and drink with Yi Qingqi while still getting paid. Without the big trouble of Xie Mingyu, life has become quite comfortable. I heard they're even planning to bring me into the company. I secretly wondered, are the Yi family people stupid? I was thinking this while cracking sunflower seeds and secretly glancing at Yi Qingqi. Yi Qingqi's face stiffened, and the corners of her mouth twitched almost uncontrollably. She seemed to think about it very seriously before raising her small face to tell me. Hao Jian, I have something to tell you. Promise me, don't get too excited after hearing it. I also thought about it very seriously and said, you tell me what it is first, then I'll consider whether to get excited or not. Your young master has seen it all. What could scare me? Laughable. She took a deep breath, and a hint of mischievous laughter appeared in her eyes. Actually, our whole family can hear your thoughts. The sunflower seed in my hand fell to the ground with a pop. I crouched down, groping on the ground. Ah, it's all dirty now, don't pick it up. How unhygienic. What are you looking for? Do you want me to help you? I raised my head woodenly, gritting my teeth as I said word by word. I'm looking for a crack in the ground to see if I can crawl into it. Yi Qingqi laughed lightly, feeling quite embarrassed. She pouted and said coquettishly, I'm sorry, this matter was too bizarre. We didn't know how to tell you. Hey, wait, I'll explain in a bit. Qing Chan is calling. The sudden cheerful ringtone of the phone interrupted our conversation. Hello, Qing Chen, I'm at school. What's wrong? At the same time, I noticed a man wearing a baseball cap and mask carrying a bag, quickly approaching from not far away. Yi Qingchen's urgent voice came from the phone. Sis, listen to me. Xie Mingyu escaped from prison with outside help. He's gone mad. He's very likely to carry out revenge actions against you now. You need to return to the Yi house immediately. Hello? Sis, are you listening to me? Hello? The phone fell to the ground with a thud. She couldn't hear the latter part of the content anymore, and there was no need to hear it now. She saw a person wearing a baseball cap suddenly take off his mask not far away, revealing a face she never wanted to see again in this life. Xie Mingyu. So, what if you won? You'll end up with the same miserable fate as me. After saying this, He pulled open his coat, revealing row after row of explosives inside. The people around burst into piercing screams and began to flee in all directions like madmen. I hugged Qingqi and was about to run when I heard him say, "Don't move. If you move, I'll detonate the explosives right now. Everyone here will die with you." I held Qingqi tightly in my arms and calmly looked at him. "What do you really want?" He suddenly laughed maniacally and pathologically, the corners of his mouth curling into a contemptuous arc. "You asked me what I want? You took everything from me, and you asked me what I want? How, Jin? Don't think I don't know. I'm telling you I saw it. I saw everything." In prison, he had a dream that showed him everything that happened in his previous life, and he also learned why the Yi family had targeted him. His eyes stared at Yi Qingqi like a snake sticking out its tongue. "Originally, you were all supposed to die. The Yi family was supposed to be mine, including you. The entire Yi family was mine. Then you should know why the Yi family members were all targeting you. Everything you're facing now is what you deserve." Xie Mingyu was so angry, he started jumping up and down after hearing this. "They brought me in as a son-in-law. Do you know how those people outside looked at me behind my back? They called me a wimp, said I was a slave to two families. I gritted my teeth and trampled my dignity underfoot, paid such a huge price. And what did they do? They turned around and threw me into a birdshit company as a small project director without a care. Why does Yi Qingchun get to be the general manager while I'm just a small project director? I'm clearly more talented than that kid. Those things should have been mine. They're mine. I was just taking back what belonged to me." I couldn't help but laugh after hearing this, looking at him sideways. "Xie Mingyu, let me ask you something. All those resources you got, all those people around you, which one wasn't because of your status as the Yi family's son-in-law? Since you didn't want to be a son-in-law and hated the Yi family, you could have lived in seclusion and lived the life you wanted. But you wanted both glory and wealth and dignity and face. Why should you get all the good things in the world? Also, let me tell you, that project they gave you was the artificial intelligence and machine learning, AI, project that Yi Huaqiang valued most. In the next 2 years, the Chinese government will invest huge sums to support this industry. Once you make achievements in this field, you would definitely become a new star in the tech world in the future." In the original story, it wasn't until later that Xie Mingyu discovered the project Yi Huaqiang gave him was the most promising project for the future. Many of the project members in that company he had discarded like trash became pillars of a certain leading company in the future. After AI became a hot topic, he regretted it for a long time. Of course, he didn't regret wrongly accusing the Yi family, but regretted not taking this big piece of cake. Xie Mingyu was struck by lightning after hearing this, his body swaying. "Impossible, you must be lying to me. How could the Yi couple be so good to me?" To buy time until the special forces and anti-terrorism units arrived, I argued with Xie Mingyu while secretly observing the surrounding environment, until I saw an infrared sniper rifle set up on a certain high-rise building. My pounding heartbeat finally quieted down a bit. Xie Mingyu glared at us and said, "You two bitches, if it wasn't for you, how could I have fallen to such a miserable state? Today I'll take you both down with me." Just as Xie Mingyu's trembling hand pulled the detonator, a rapidly spinning bullet had already pierced through his chest, splattering a string of blood in the air. "Run!" In that second, I used all the strength I had in my life, pulling Yi Qingqi and turning to run directly. Xie Mingyu could only watch helplessly as our figures gradually disappeared, feeling his life slipping away. He roared with his eyes wide open. I want you all to go to hell with me." Although he knew it might be too late, he still used his last bit of strength to pull the detonator. As the huge flames rose to the sky, when the enormous energy tore through every inch of skin and every cell in his body, a thought suddenly flashed through his mind. Why? Why did my life turn out like this? Was I really wrong? He realized more clearly than ever before one point. I lost miserably in the end. The flames engulfed everything in an instant. I suddenly lunged forward, using my body to shield Yi Qingqi. The air was filled with the smell of burning, mixed with blood and fear. Wails and cries for help intertwined. She stared blankly at my face, blood dripping from my forehead. "Why? I told you I would protect you." Tears spilled from her eyes. That night, Yi Qingqi had a very long nightmare. In that dream, Her family was torn apart. Her parents jumped off a building together. Her brother was sold to Myanmar, and she also suffered all kinds of tortures before being thrown into a club. That dream was so long and terrifying that when she woke up, the sweat on her head had soaked through the bedding. She looked at the man on the hospital bed. Tears like a broken dam could no longer be stopped. She said in a barely audible voice, "Thank you." She carefully traced the man's face with her finger, murmuring, "They say you won't wake up again. I don't believe it. You'll wake up, right? If you don't wake up for a day, I'll wait for you for a day. If you don't wake up for 10 years, I'll wait for you for 10 years. Anyway, I'm sticking with you." She opened her phone and flipped to the latest news. Breaking. Wong Corporation and Ning Corporation face multiple criminal charges, including economic crimes and contract killings. All right. Look, those who harmed you have all been caught. The Wong family and the Ning family. Hao Jian, can you open your eyes and look at me? Meanwhile, I was in a fog. I saw the end of the fog in front of me. It was myself lying on a hospital bed, or more precisely, it was myself from my previous life. Doctors were busy trying to save me. I suddenly realized that if I walked towards there, I could return to that body from the past. Everything would go back to the starting point, back to the unchanging office worker life of the past. I see. I see. Is this also my 996th blessing? Old heaven, do you want this blessing or not? At this moment, I suddenly recalled the conversation with Siem Mingyu before the bomb exploded. I guess I completed my mission now. After all, I'm not originally from this world. It's time to go back. It's time to wake up from this dream. As I raised my leg to walk forward, suddenly, a girl's tearful voice came from behind me, making my body freeze. Hao Jian, don't go. I'm sorry I was too weak. In the past, you were always protecting me. From now on, let me protect you, okay? At this moment, time and space seemed to suddenly freeze. The fog behind me dissipated. I turned back and looked deeply at the girl muttering in her sleep by the hospital bed. Walk forward to return to the past, or walk backward to choose that future. I'm sorry, I think I still... Yi Qingqi, half asleep and half awake, felt the bedsheet. Suddenly, she sensed something wasn't quite right. She jolted awake, looking at the empty bed. Where's the person? Her heart instantly plummeted into an abyss. With red eyes, she rushed out of the room like a madwoman. She asked every nurse that passed by, but all she received were pitying looks from those around her. How could a person just vanish into thin air? She searched every corner of the building, but couldn't see the figure of the person she longed for anywhere. Yi Qingqi wandered aimlessly in the hospital lobby, feeling like she was walking on cotton. Her back felt like it had been doused with cold water soaked through. Walking out the door, she suddenly heard a familiar voice from beside her. Hey, want to watch the sunrise together? Her body suddenly stiffened as if electrified. An indescribable warmth surged in her heart. Hao Jian! Her whole being was like a deflated balloon, suddenly filled with vitality and energy again. She walked over to my side, huffing angrily, looking me up and down, inside and out. I know I'm quite handsome, but if you keep staring at me like this, I'll really think you've fallen for me. Seeing that I still had the energy to make cheesy jokes, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then, she suddenly tilted her head and looked at me. Hao Jian, have you never been in a relationship before? This question hit me right where it hurt. The melancholy, deep, handsome atmosphere I had been trying so hard to create instantly vanished. Embarrassed and angry, I said, well, I've dated maybe 8 or 10 girls. She directly reached out and pinched my face. Tell the truth. None. I could tell. She looked at me curiously and poked my face. Why haven't you dated? Probably because I'm too handsome. Girls feel inferior when they get close to me. Speak human words. I rub my face. I look too fierce. No one dares to get close to me. She was stunned for a moment, seemingly not expecting this reason. How can that be? She blushed and muttered softly. I think you're quite handsome. What? Ahem. I said, how could you just run out without saying anything? Do you know how worried I was? I looked at her suspiciously, but didn't dwell on it. I opened my mouth and said, it's because someone was sleeping like a little pig, snoring so loudly in the middle of the night that it woke me up. I couldn't stand it anymore, so I had to come out and wander around. Epsilon's sad face, oh asterisk. Sigh. Is that so? Yi Qingqi's face turned red, feeling quite embarrassed. The next second, she suddenly realized, "No, you're lying to me. I never snore when I sleep. You're the one who snores." "Oh, really?" She threw herself into my arms, then suddenly realized and carefully sat up straight again. "How Jin, you now?" "I'm all better now. My waist doesn't ache. My legs don't hurt anymore." "How Jin?" "I'm sorry. You saved me again. From now on, let me protect you." I chuckled softly. "Oh, how are you going to protect me?" Yi Qingqi waved her delicate fist. "I signed up for a kickboxing class." I stared at her serious expression with widened eyes. Alarm bells immediately went off in my mind. I suddenly felt that certain aspects of my future life might not be so pleasant. "Ah, you really don't have to." "What do you mean I don't have to? Are you looking down on me?" She immediately wanted to demonstrate the leg sweep she had recently learned, and even tried to pull me in to demonstrate. I felt my lower body tighten, so I quickly changed the subject. "Actually, my name isn't Hao Jian." She hugged my arm and looked at me curiously. "Then what's your name?" "My name is Hao Run. Before I didn't have a choice, but now I just want to be a good person." Yi Qingqi giggled. "Hao Jian, do you have any truth in you?" Of course, what I just said was the truth. Don't believe me? Listen to my thoughts. She leaned against my chest and only heard a strong, powerful heartbeat. "I seem to not be able to hear your inner thoughts anymore." "Ah, what a blessing." "Humph. Then guess what I'm thinking now?" She looked into my eyes very seriously. "Can't guess." It's okay. We have the rest of our lives to figure it out slowly." I looked at her and smiled gently. Every second of my existence in this world constantly reminded me that I didn't belong here. Perhaps I should have just been a passerby in your life, only able to accompany you for this journey. But when I was about to leave, I realized, I'm sorry, I still can't let you go.